To me.
In the closing days of an election, every volunteer, every leaflet, every interaction counts. What's the kind of reaction you're getting?
It's half and half. It's exactly like the polls say, it's half and half.
Amidst the bustle of the Bucharest commute, the campaign for one of two presidential contenders. They're canvassing for the pro-EU and pro-Ukraine Nicosur Dan, and they think the alternative is dangerous.
My main goal is to keep democracy in Romania, to keep the good guys in key places, okay?
And so this is all about democracy, the future of democracy?
Yeah.
So is this the most important election in Romania
Ever since 1989, yeah, since the revolution.
Nicosur Dan is going head-to-head with the far-right nationalist George Simion, a Eurosceptic, rabble-rousing outsider who wants to stop funding Ukraine's fight against Russia and who is a fan of the MAGA agenda.
The Romanians love the American people, freedom, and President Donald Trump.
He's seen as the front-runner, feeding off a frustration among the Romanian people at not just a lack of change, but also anger about the state of their democracy. Because it was last November when this election first took place. The country was shocked when the pro-Russian candidate Calin Georgescu won the first round. He benefited from huge support online, especially TikTok, with declassified intelligence alleging that that was due to Russian interference. And so a second-round vote was cancelled by the country's constitutional court, a decision later attacked by the US Vice President.
Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency.
Madalina Voina is an analyst in Bucharest who looked into the source of last year's disinformation.
In my subjective opinion, a combination of internal and external interference. So internal actors that had backup from external malign influence, namely Russia.
Was it right, though, for the election to be annulled?
It only created a vicious circle that we see now, even more support for the far right, almost doubling the votes for the candidate of the far right. Where are we ending up with polarizing our society even more? I think it was a quick fix that now we're seeing the consequences.
Georgescu has been barred from standing, which prompted anger from his supporters earlier this year. Simion has now positioned himself as Georgescu's successor, standing alongside him to vote in the first round. Simion won with 41% of the vote. But ahead of Sunday's second round, Simion has been hard to track down. He didn't show up to a TV debate earlier in the week, so we tried to find him at another scheduled face-off. Arriving first, his rival, Nicosur Dan. Are you worried about Russian influence still in the election?
I don't think so. I mean, there is some influence on the past, on the network, on the network of sites, of small sites. But right now, in that moment, I don't.
But is Russia still a threat to Romania?
It will be, yeah.
But Simion never turned up. So up next, an appearance on the right-leaning Romania TV. Would Simion come along to this one?
Bună seara, România!
So Nicosur Dan has just turned up for the second debate today, and it looks like so far that his rival, George Simion, is again a no-show. Now, critics will say that that's because Mr. Simion is floundering and that he doesn't want to be held accountable. But Simion and his team would say that actually he's off doing something far more important. That's building a coalition of nationalists abroad. Simion has been meeting key Eurosceptic figures on the continent as he pushes his populist agenda.
I would like to send a very, very clear message. Romania will stay in the EU. Romania just wants to have a more powerful voice in the EU. And Romania wants its national identity to be respected.
With Simion not here, we spoke to a fellow party member and Romanian MP. So your message to Europe is that under Mr. Simion, there's nothing to worry about when it comes to the EU,
Clearly.
NATO.
Clearly.
But what about Ukraine's defense?
It's important for us to see what the United States will do, but if we were to listen to our voters and to the Romanian people, we would stop straight away any kind of involvement in Ukraine.
Just like in countries across Europe, the cities don't tell the whole story. And here in Calarash, just under 2 hours outside of the capital, it's Simion country. where the apartments are crumbling and where people don't feel like the EU has done much. As the men play Rummy Cup underneath the 12 golden stars, they bemoan what's happened within the union.
In Romania, it used to be like this. There were rich people, a middle class, and the poor. Now, the middle class no longer exists. It's just the rich and the poor.
So, has the EU been good for Romania?
No. No.
Will you vote for George Simion or Nicosur Dan?
George Simion.
And why?
Simion seems closer to our peasant soul. Because we're peasants, we work hard.
But it's not all plain sailing for Simion, with even some here concerned about taking such a risk. If Mr. Simion wins, are you worried about the future?
Yes, definitely. There's a big fear that we won't have justice anymore, that we'll lose our rights.
Back in the capital, Bucharest, as commuters head home to ponder their choices, is this election really a battle of East versus West, or simply about voters tired of the old ways of politics? The answer to that has profound implications for not just the future direction of Romania, but the rest of Europe.